Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How we doing? Owlman1 here, and yes, as you can see, I have a microphone. This is because my computer's retarded, and well, uh, all you can hear is fan otherwise. So anyway, on to the video. This is the first of what I hope to be many videos like it, and so let's get right to it, shall we? In this video, I want to talk about a game called Injustice: Gods Among Us. Really good game. In fact, I've actually really enjoyed playing it. I've had it, let's say it's been out for, well, I don't know, 2 months now. Here's the thing. The DLC characters, all that shit was going great until this last week. And suddenly now, we have a character that has no business being in this game. Okay? Ed Boon, the head of NetherRealm Studios. I assume this was his decision to do this, but honestly, stupid. The newest DLC character is Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, and look, I get it. NetherRealm Studios, you created Mortal Kombat. It's your big game, your big seller. But look, if you want to make another Mortal Kombat game, just go ahead and make another Mortal Kombat game, huh? Let's leave DC alone. Now, the last time you tried to combine DC and Mortal Kombat, didn't really work out so well, did it? No. And not only that, it kind of bombed, you know? It did. I know that probably surprises some people. It doesn't surprise me in the least. Because the fact is, like I said, it bombed in a big, big way. Now, you know what? Whatever, call it whatever you want to call it. The reason that game bombed, DC versus Mortal Kombat, the reason that it bombed was because it left out one of the key elements of Mortal Kombat that would have made that game really awesome, which is the fatalities. Now, some people may think, well, that's not really that big a deal. But it is, because it's one of the things that makes Mortal Kombat really cool. I mean, aside from the fact that Mortal Kombat is just an awesome fighting game anyway. Excuse me, I have allergies. But not having that just really screwed up that game. And I understand. DC probably came in and said, look, we can't do that. We can't have our guys having fatalities. Because at least some of their characters cannot. The two biggest, and then probably the two biggest guns that DC's throwing at this game, Batman and Superman, and not necessarily in that order. But, I agree, they can't. They can't have fatalities. They can't kill people. Batman has said, and I think Superman has also said the same thing, that is a line I can't allow myself to cross. Well, there you go. They can't allow themselves to cross that line. So that kind of kills that. And by doing that, then what you did was you took away the fatalities of, the Mortal Kombat guys. So that game didn't do well. Now that brings us around to here. You make a fighting game that's all DC characters. That's great. That's fantastic, actually. I really like that. That's a great idea. Okay? And DC on their own. Then you don't have to have fatalities. Nobody has to have a fatality. You can have a sort of a special, super cool move that they do. A special finishing move, let's call it. Even if it doesn't always necessarily finish the match. It's their special move. And each character has one, and they're all pretty cool. And they're cool enough because it's DC, and they do basically what the character would do anyway. But the problem is, as soon as you start bringing in Mortal Kombat, it kind of ruins the game, and I hate to say that because this game has been good, and the DLC characters were great up to this point. Suddenly you decide you're going to put Scorpion in the freaking game? Why? That makes no sense. He has nothing to do with this game at all, other than the fact that it's created by NetherRealm Studios, the same people who made Mortal Kombat. That's the only connection there. That's the only connection. And basically what you show every time you use him, when it first starts up, when he first comes in, his entrance, if you will, is basically the end of the last Mortal Kombat game. Okay? And you see him about to crush Sub-Zero's skull, which is cool, but it has nothing to do with this game at all. All the DLC characters should be other DC comics characters, DC comics characters. And I understand why they wanted to make the Mortal Kombat versus DC universe work. I get that. You wanted to have a game that could compete with Marvel vs. Capcom, but here's the problem. You kind of ruined one game for another, and you ruined Mortal Kombat to make that game. You kind of took the one of the big things with Mortal Kombat that people really like, the gore, the fatalities, the blood, the fatalities. Those are two of the big things that make Mortal Kombat such a cool fighting game, because there isn't any other fighting game that actually has that. Not really. I mean, some kind of do, like Killer Instinct sort of did, but it's not the same. There's no other game that has fatalities, where you incinerate someone or rip them in half. And I gotta say that the last Mortal Kombat game was awesome, while we're on the subject, Mr. Ed Boon. But this, Scorpion has no place in Injustice Gods Among Us. None whatsoever. At all. None. Zero. There's no reason for him to be there. Why the hell? Why? Why is he there? Explain that shit to me. Okay? What the hell is that about? And, by the way, look, it's not that hard to come up with other DC characters. I mean, shit. How about other Justice Leaguers? Like, for example, Martian Manhunter. He should be in the game, and I guess you could technically say he sort of is. You see him there in the Watchtower level. He's just kind of floating there, just kind of watching what's going on. Why not have him as a playable character? He should be. Martian Manhunter would be cool. He could have a sort of Liu Kang type finisher where he turns into like a dragon or something, That'd be cool. Or, I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you could do it. But he's just one of them. There are so many other characters, that I don't get it. How can you get stuck like that? Animal Man, Jonah Hex, shit, I don't know, Hawk and Dove. Here's one that a lot of people want to see, Robin, and I can understand where there might be a little bit of a problem with that. Which Robin is it? Well, that's easy. Make it the Jason Todd Robin. You already have the Jason Todd death, there's already a reference to the death of Jason Todd. If you play as the Joker, his finisher, the crowbar that he has in his hand, is the crowbar that he killed Jason Todd with. And people say, well, why not Damian? Well, and spoiler alert, Damian Wayne's already in the game as the alternate version of Nightwing. But then again, you know what? You don't necessarily have to say that. He is in the story mode as Nightwing, and fine. But you could have him as Robin. Then you bring in the Red Hood, the current Red Hood, which is actually a pretty badass character. You could bring in Starfire, Beast Boy. Hell, there's tons of characters. Just here. Grab a copy of this, the DC Encyclopedia, you see here. It's a pretty good sized book. And then, you just pull a bunch of characters out. As far as villain characters, I'll give you 3 more villain characters that would do perfectly well in this game. First of all, Darkseid. He should be in the game. He should be, really, he could have been the main boss in the game if you'd wanted to go that direction. Mongol. There's another one. Any number of Batman's villains, like Clayface, the Scarecrow. Maybe not so much the Riddler, although the Riddler could be interesting too, I suppose. I don't know, maybe Penguin or Hush. Hush would be cool. There's lots of different ways you could go. I'm drawing a blank here at the moment, but you get the point. There's no reason to add Mortal Kombat characters in here. It doesn't, and if you're just doing it, and DOZ 101, a good friend of mine, said, I think the only reason that they're doing it is to increase sales. Maybe, and you know what, fine, whatever. If that's why you're doing it, then whatever. But there's really no reason to do that. Mortal Kombat doesn't need to be a part of this. Mortal Kombat has no reason to prop this up. You don't need to prop this game up with Mortal Kombat. It's doing fine on its own. Just have the DLC characters be DC Comics characters. Mortal Kombat is not. And to my knowledge, Mortal Kombat is not a comic book thing anyway. And if I'm wrong about that, then I apologize. And I was just not aware. But I'm pretty sure it's not. Anyway. The only other character that I could, I think given enough time I can let Scorpion slide. Fine. At this point, there isn't really a whole lot you can do about that. But the only other character that I could see putting in this game and really making sense is Sub-Zero. Because obviously, when you see Scorpion's entrance in the game, you see Sub-Zero already anyway, so it only kind of makes sense that you would put him in the game just 'cause. But other than that, we don't need any other Mortal Kombat characters. In fact, it would be better if there weren't any others. And I would prefer that Sub-Zero wasn't in the game because really there isn't any real reason for him. None at all. This game has nothing to do with Mortal Kombat. Those characters have nothing to do with the story. And I know there will be some people that will go, well, Lobo and Batgirl, the other two DLC characters, have nothing to do with the story. Okay, that's true, I suppose. But they are DC Comics characters, so they fit with the whole theme of the game, which is DC Comics characters. And by the way, I think the story in the game is brilliant. I really do. I think it's a great story. It almost kind of goes into that Justice Lord storyline, which was pretty awesome. But, so, there you have it. That's, I suppose that's all I really have to say about that right now. I'll be making another video here real soon, so stay tuned. As always, I am AlvaMan1. Peace.